Yo, what is up? Welcome to NinjaGeek Games. Today we're going to do a playthrough for Techlandia. I did an unboxing video recently that you can see. I'll add a link to this at the end of this video. But today we're going to do a solo player playthrough of the game. So the first thing we need to do is set up the game and we'll prepare the map. The first thing is there are two types of tiles. There are the purple tiles and there are red and blue tiles. So you need to take the purple tiles and lay them out in order. So you have the elevator at the top, followed by the press room, security room, and then the welcome centre. These four tiles will be as standard for every single game. And then you'll take the deck of red and blue tiles, give them a shuffle, and just randomly select four to be rooms 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the 4 other rooms are the meet and greet, the R&D lab, company museum, and the conference room. We then need to set up areas for the cards. So we have a deck of gear cards which your character will use throughout the game. For the location cards, we only use the locations that are represented in the game. So that should just be a deck of 7 cards because the elevator doesn't have a location card. There's a set of encounter cards and a set of investigation cards as well. On the other side we will place the doomsday clock. And this is a countdown timer for the game. We'll place our marker on the 20 space. We have these lore cards. And we have them in descending order, so that 20 is on the top, followed by 15, 10, 5, 1 and 0, which represent the red numbers on the doomsday clock. A shuffle deck of enemy cards, and these QR codes, there's 4 of them, and they'll be shuffled and placed face down. Lastly is we take our player board or dashboard, select our character, and I'm going with this guy because I have a beard. I think we look the same. They start in the welcome centre. Now for the dashboard, we choose one of the skills there, the spyware, disinfo, and memes. And whichever one we select will make those enemies with that skill word a bit easier to defeat. So I'm going to choose memes. And lastly, we place the QR tokens, and these will pop up somewhere along the board and we have to go and collect them. And the idea is to collect 4 of these, investigate 4 rooms, make our way to security to have the QR code scanned. If it's the wrong one, we can use any decryption codes that we get from defeating enemies to rescan another code, and then make our way to the elevator before the doomsday clock reaches 0. The next thing we need to do is take 5 gear cards. These will be used throughout the game, and we have Smart Viral Assistant, Twitter Block, Twitter Verification, Book Deal, and Screen Protector. And it looks like we're set up to go now. So we're all set up and ready to go. The rule suggests that the first thing you do is read the introduction, one phone to rule them all. The rumours began months ago. First, on the whispernet of the... Now, I'm not really going to read it all, it's quite long. But there's a little blog telling you about the story behind the game. I think I went over that in my previous video, so I won't do it here. The first thing you do is, because the doomsday track is on 20, is you read this first card here. And it says, ride share or die. Your Uber pulls up to the glass front doors of the largest building on the Techlandia campus, where a smattering of abandoned electrical scooters litter the walkway. Reporters, bloggers and YouTubers mill around the welcome centre. Lacking an invite to this event, you slip in unnoticed, determined to expose the truth behind TX1. So that is the first lore card that we read, and we read the next one when we get to 15 on the doomsday track. Each player has 2 actions, and they'll move about the board, and they can investigate, fight, use cards, draw extra cards, and so on and so forth. But that was all explained in the unboxing video earlier. So we have 2 actions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to move to the meet and greet. That's one action. I can use a gear card as a free action. I've got one here that says book deal. Take that sweet advance up front and go shopping. So I can swap this card for 2 new gear cards, and you can have a maximum of 7 gear cards. So I have shared streaming password, which I can swap all my gear cards again, and cheap sunglasses, move any enemy 1 space to avoid a fight. For my second action, I'm going to investigate this room, and to do that, all you need to do is take an investigation card, and this says it's a closed door full of QCAT scanners, failure. So I failed that. Draw 1 encounter card. If it was a red room, I would draw 2 encounter cards, but it's not. So I draw an encounter card, and this says time slows to a crawl, much like your phone's mobile presser. Next turn, I only get to take 1 action. Not good. So that is the end of my turn. Doomsday clock goes to 19. So for turn 2, again, my first action will be investigation. It says, do you hear footsteps? Success. I get to spawn 1 QR code. So the first thing I need to do is spawn, take a location. This is the conference room. And it just gives a little blurb about the conference room. We then shuffle these back in. So I can place this into the conference room server here. I need to go and collect that. I also indicate that I have investigated room 1 because all 4 need to be filled. The card then says roll 1 die, and if the result is greater than the number of gear cards in your hand, I spawn 1 enemy. Well, I've got 6 gear cards. I can't roll higher than 6, so I'm pretty safe there. I can only take 1 action that turn because of the encounter cards there. My turn is over. And I'll move down the Doomsday clock. So I have 2 actions now. Just in case anything happens to that QR code. I haven't read any of the cards, so I don't know if QR tokens can disappear. So I'm going to move 2 actions to move over to here. And again, that ends my turn immediately down to 17. I can pick this up. Pick up the token, you put it back, take a cube and show that you have 1 QR code. So I'm 25% of the way there. My second action, I will investigate the conference room. However, because it's a red room, failure can cause me to have a worse effect. So take an investigation. It says biometric lock, let's get out of here, failure, draw an encounter card. If it's a red room, draw 2. So this is the first one. Influencer chats you up, that's not so bad. Fake a sudden coma, I have to play dead. Escape when they're not looking by moving 1 room in any direction, well that's not too bad. So I'll move to the company museum, and for my second encounter, it's another escape the smelly guy. I think the influencer that was chatting me up and the smelly guy are separate people. Must be the cologne I'm wearing. Have you ever been to a day of Comic-Con? Yes. Draw 1 location card and move to that room to escape. So these aren't too bad, so I can draw a location. I move to the company museum, I'm already there. So those encounters were actually quite kind. But that was my first action. So for my second action, I'm going to investigate again. Looks like there's something useful on this USB key. Success. Spawn 1 QR code and 1 enemy via the location deck. So I spawn a QR code to the R&D lab, which is fine because I need to go there anyway. I have to then spawn 1 enemy at the meet and greet. So enemies all represented by these guys in suits when they come to here. I don't know which enemy it is until I go and meet them. Do I want to fight them? Not really. Do I have to? Well, it's beneficial because you get decryption codes which allow you to draw extra cards when you decide which QR code you wish to scan to get past the security. So this drops down to 16. So because this is room 1, 2, 3, I've investigated room 3 successfully. I'm going to play this card, which allows me to take an additional action that turn. So I can have 3 actions. So I'm going to move 1, 2, take this. Now I have 2 QR codes. But however, it takes me down to 15. I then have to read this. It's the darkening sky. The glass window facing out into the Techlandia campus darken as an earthly wind howls past. It's funny, you don't recall Alexa saying anything about bad weather today. Alexa lies. Looking outside, clouds swirl in a tight spiral overhead and murder of crows circles just below. That's probably not a good sign. Each player needs to draw 1 encounter card. So it says, coat check-in line, switch places with any player. If solo, draw a location card and move to that room. Okay. So I have drawn the welcome centre. Oh no, I have to go to where the enemy is. But I need to fight them anyway. So that I move to there. Okay, so I have to fight them first, and I have to do that as one of my actions. So you can't avoid the fight, and you have to waste your actions doing it. So what you do here is you draw an enemy card. We have taken, it's cold as ice. Whatever you do, don't get caught in the frozen cone of influence of this dead-eyed PR assassin. Skill memes. Well, that's good because I chose memes at the beginning. So I need a 4+ to roll, but I get +1 because of memes. So I'll leave that one there for now. So I need to roll the dice to attack. I need a 3+, and I've rolled a 3+. So that enemy is defeated. He gets moved to the bottom of the stack. And I then gain a decryption code. I now have 1 action left. I might move to the conference room. That'll be my second action, and then the timer goes. So I'm going to investigate again. Investigation. I think they're on to me. Success. Spawn 1 QR code and 1 enemy via the location deck. So I have successfully investigated the conference room. So for the QR code, wrong card. The meet and greet. Got to go back over here. And 1 enemy at the R&D lab. And I need to go over there anyway because that is room 2 and I haven't investigated that yet. So that's my turn over. So I'm going to move 2, 1, 2. Again, that's my action over. Move down to here. So I now have another 2 actions. I will take this QR code. So I only need 1 more now from the R&D lab. So I will move there. That's my second action, so I cannot fight. So marker moves down to 11. Back to my turn. I need to fight the enemy. Who have I got? The Jargon Gorgon. This unctuous beast hypnotizes and audiences with non-stop jargon, never using 1 word when a dozen bigger ones will do. His skill is spyware. I don't have spyware, so I need a 5+ to defeat him. And I have to attack him on my first action. So I'm going to use this card instead, and it says automatically win 1 battle. So I defeat him. This card goes to the bottom. I gain the second decryption code. I have 1 more action left. So I will investigate the R&D lab. Did I drop something back there? Success. Spawn 1 QR code, then discard 1 gear card. If no gear cards, draw 1 encounter card. Okay, so I'll then spawn It's in the security room, which is good because I need to go there anyway. So I've now investigated all 4 rooms. That's my turn over. I've got 3 QR codes with a 4th here. I've got 2 decryption codes, so I can rescan 2 of the 4 QR codes to try and get through security twice. I've investigated all the rooms. Now, objectivity, this is basically health. And this is how much really of a fanboy you are of Techlandia. So when this gets filled, you become a fanboy and time ticks over until you realise what's going on, and then you can reset your objectivity or basically reset your health. I've not taken any wounds as such yet. So I've got 1 action left, haven't I? Oh no, I haven't, so that's done. So read the Doomsday. Law card. Do you hear voices? The low electronic hum that underlies everything in the building fades. In its place, you hear faint whispering that seems to come from under the floor. The lights flicker for a moment, and you could swear something brushes past you in the darkness. The light comes back on, the hum returns, but you sense something has changed. Each player draws an encounter card. Draw an encounter card. Scooped by the competition. In online news, seconds count. Give one of your gear cards to another player. If solo, lose 1 gear card. I'm going to get rid of the cheap sunglasses. So I now have 2 actions. Move to the security room. Collect. I now have 4 QR codes. I've investigated all the rooms. I only have 2 of the encryption codes, but I don't need 3. I can try and risk it. The time goes on. I have now 2 actions left. One of the actions I will use now to scan the QR codes. Now what you need to do is you shuffle them, you draw the top one, and you scan this with your QR code on your phone, and it will tell you if you're successful or not. If you're not successful, I think you lose the game, or you're out the game. If solo player, obviously you lose. If you've got any decryption codes, it's wrong, you can rescan. If you're correct, then you still have to try and make it through to the elevator room. So I've revealed the top QR code. I need to scan this with my phone. And it will take me to a website. It's invalid QR code. So I've failed. However, what I can do now is remove the decryption code, draw a second one, attempt this again. Invalid QR code. Now what I can do is remove my last decryption. There are only 2 cards left, so what I'm going to do is you choose the last one. It's my last chance. Scan. QR code accepting, success. So the security guard thinks that you are allowed into the party, and I'm successful. I still have to make it to the elevator room. So I've moved, turn 8, nothing happens. I then have 2 actions, and I've managed to make it into the elevator, and I can go to the press conference about the release of the new phone that Techlandia are releasing. Now I still have 8 turns left. Had I wished, I could have moved around the board trying to find another enemy to gain a decryption code, in which case I would have had 100% success in scanning the QR codes. Now this was just a solo play. In multiplayer you are competing against the other players, where in fact they can place or randomly draw a QR code there, and another character can actually steal it during their turn. So you are competing, and you can take and give gear cards away from people, and essentially it is a race because only one person can make it through to the elevator. So let's have a quick roundup. So my review for Techlandia is all based on solo play. Now firstly the contents. The cards are really nice, very thematic, and I love the tarot size cards. That includes the lore cards. I wish they had included more lore cards so that you can select one card per time setting from a number of cards. This way each card would relate to a different effect and event, and therefore each game the effects would be randomised, so you never really know what's coming. With regards to the map tiles, I do like the idea of different failure effects of investigation based on tile colour. However, the different names on the tiles doesn't seem to affect gameplay in any way whatsoever. To put it into perspective, there could have just been numbered cards 1 to 7 rather than 11 individual location cards. However, it's a nice touch. There are 4 characters in the game that can be used. However, some asymmetry among them, other than the one skill selected at the start of the game, may have given the game a higher replay value in my opinion. The game itself is very simple to learn. The rulebook is very easy to read. And I don't think I've ever needed to root through the rulebook during any of the plays I've had. Now in solo, there aren't that many options. Move here, investigate that, fight him. In games that I've played, I've not used that many cards either for the gear cards, maybe a total of 5 per game maximum, so I don't really think this game is suited for solo play. I've completed the game every time I played it with ease, and none of the game feels very different from the last. There are ways to make the game harder, such as starting the game with no gear cards at all, and I said that really don't think it's suited for solo play. However, I can see that the game probably does shine in multiplayer. Racing around, collecting other players' investigated QR tokens, or forcing enemies to move into opponent players' tiles could be quite fun. Do you head to security to scan that QR code, or run around fighting enemies to gain additional rescans, but risk having another player then get it to the elevator before you? Also in solo play, if you take 3 objectivity tokens, nothing really happens other than you lose a few turns. However, in multiplayer, your focus for a few turns does change and you have to get all up in people's faces to slow them down. Now, in summary, Techlandia is a fun, light game, ideally suited for 4 players, which is a shame really, as I really wanted this for solo play. It has a really nice theme, does need some additional extras to keep the game from being repetitive. The rulebook suggests trying some additional scenarios, but I don't think any are available yet, and I have checked the website and Board Game Geek. So this is NinjaGeek Games. Cheers.